everybody, it's Runt with you again. We're going to be doing another episode of Democracy 3, and again, I've got my buddy Ghostrider with me. He's really kind of acting as my chief of staff. We're discussing things. Hopefully you guys aren't falling asleep while you're listening to us, but...
That'd be my fault if they are.
Well, no, not at all. Granted, I don't want to make this such a highbrow series that it's just over the top of everybody's head, but I want people to see, kind of things that, if you think about it, instead of just thinking about, well, this is the way I feel, think about it from an overarching perspective of, okay, well, if I do this, then it's going to affect this, and it might affect these people differently, and blah, 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 blah. Think of everything as in relation to each other. The old adage, if a butterfly flaps its wings here, then it makes a tidal wave in China or something like that. So,
right.
So ultimately, we're starting quarter one, year 2 of my presidency. If you're familiar, I'll probably have this all in a playlist. You'll be able to find the video pretty easy on my channel. Ghostrider doesn't have one. I'm talking him into it, but so far he's been very, very resistant to my charm. So, and as a recap, what we did is we reduced military spending. Not hugely, but enough to give us a little bit of wiggle room to enact some policies. We have reduced state retirement, and we have increased the national income tax. And if I'm not mistaken, we have $100 and some billion surplus in our budget, almost a $200 billion surplus, if I'm not mistaken, in our budget as it stands. So now we've got the room to really enact some policies and make some changes. The other things that we did was we got small business, young entrepreneurs going. We've got community policing, witness protection. We tried to create a few jobs by bringing in a little bit more funding into the federal prison system to hire more guards, rehabilitate people. So the state prison budget isn't just hiring guards, building bars and walls. It's building, education programs. It's building trade programs, stuff like that within these prisons to give people that have been sent to prison because they did a bad thing. It's given them, okay, you know what? It's not that bad. You can pick yourself up, and I'm going to show you how to do it. It's the give a man a fish or teach a man to fish thought. So, let's get into year 2 without delay. And the first thing that we have is we're looking at a policy discussion. Yay. Well, no, and these are where, that's why I wanted somebody else in here with me while I recorded this series. Ghostrider was, gracious enough to accept my invitation that, he and I, we have pretty good discussions, even off camera, but we thought about this and we said, yeah, we can play off of each other fairly well and, go with it from there. So we're going to look into this ban alcohol advertisements. And let's see, it says ban alcohol advertisements. There's a proposal for a law to outlaw the advertising, wow, I can't speak today, of alcohol on... Oh, absolutely. So's grown up. But anyway... There's a proposal for a law to outlaw the advertising of alcohol on television. Although it would remain legal to advertise on radio, billboards, and other means, a TV ban is seen as a potential way to reduce alcohol intake by our citizens. We can A, reject the ban. This law is crazy. Either you have a ban on a product or you do not. Alcohol is perfectly legal and enjoyed by millions of citizens without ill effect. Banning advertising of a product on a particular medium is a token gesture for the anti-alcohol zealots, which does nothing but interfere with the free market. Or B, approve the ban. It might not stop alcoholism overnight, but a TV ad ban is a step in the right direction. Advertisers have been increasingly aggressive in their advertising, with a worrying tendency towards marketing their products at the youth market. Anything we can do to reduce alcohol consumption is worth trying. And here's my thing. Okay, game standpoint as it is, we have a problem with alcoholism in America in the game. I'm not saying we do or do not in the world, right. But in the game, we have a problem with alcoholism. On top of that, if you look back historically, I remember growing up and seeing Spuds MacKenzie on TV, the Bud Light dog, and Budman, the cartoon guy for, and I'm not advertising for Anheuser, so, unless they send me a check, right. Then, that's just because that's what I could think of. But ultimately, those ads were pulled, and there's a reason for it. And I think that approving the ban, it would be different if it was. I'm not one to ban alcoholism, or I want to ban alcoholism, absolutely, but I don't want to ban alcohol consumption. But I don't think, and this kind of goes along with something that you and I talked about the other night. I don't think that it's right for prescription drug manufacturers or distributors to advertise on television. I don't want to see, advertisements for a menopause drug, and I'm sure women don't always want to see an advertisement for a blue pill.
Right.
What it does is it takes, almost like with the prescription stuff, it's basically, we don't let doctors be doctors anymore. The consumer goes in and tells the doctor what they want. The doctor says, okay, well, I could either tell them that I don't agree with this and I lose them as a client, or I go ahead and give it to them because it's what they want. It kind of plays into the placebo effect. This might not be the right drug for you, but because you want it, then you're going to think it helps you, kind of thing.
Right.
So and
it may be something that won't necessarily hurt them. So, hey, why not? You want it? There you go.
So I'm kind of for this ban of television advertisements for alcohol. Alcohol's out there. You can sponsor, whatever you want to, but this trying to keep it off of TV. Not that I want TV to go back to being Andy Griffith, but I would love to live in Mayberry. But it's one of those things that is kind of where I'm leaning. I don't think it's necessarily constitutional oriented. But I agree with the ban. What do you think?
Well, it's this is where you cross with your capitalists a little bit. That they'll say, hey, we should be able to advertise anything and let the buyer make their own decision. But you do have the social issues to worry about. Alcoholism is very expensive in the healthcare system. Obviously, alcohol causes problems with traffic accidents and those things. And it is a problem in the country. So, again, what's the worst that happens? You ban it, and if it doesn't make things better, you can always undo the ban if you have to. So.
Absolutely. Prohibition.
Yeah.
What amendment was that? 22nd?
Oh boy, I can't remember, but yeah, there was the prohibition and the repeal was another amendment.
Right.
I'd have to look it up.
But yeah. Just because it's not on TV doesn't mean that it's not going to be there. Just look at the rise of Al Capone.
Yeah.
Anyway. Enough of that discussion. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. We have $135 billion a quarter surplus. So now going into year 2, we have some things that we can do. And because the environmentalists, if we look back at it, this, where is it? The Wildlife Trust is unhappy with us. Let's see, there's another one that was unhappy with us. Where are they?
Church of Christ was holding meetings, and Human Rights Society was,
There was another one that Friends of the Planet, there it was. Friends of the Planet, I think, and the Wildlife Trust were really, really not happy with us. So what I'm wanting to do is I want to enact a couple policies that are going to bring into effect basically to kind of appease the tree huggers, so to speak, for a second. That, okay, I hear your concerns. I'm going to work on it, but I've got other stuff that I need to get done first. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at this, and we're going to bring up transport, and we're going to say, hey, you know what? We're going to give you an initiative to let people work from home, which isn't going to cost us a whole bunch. We see, results immediately for implementation time. And what it's going to do is, if you look at commuter membership, commuter membership is going to go down. Commuters are actually happy with this because they don't have to drive to work. Car usage goes down. Parents love it because there's not cars out there attacking their kids. And for some reason, unions like it. And I don't get that. But we're going to go ahead and raise this policy to to max, and see how that affects everything. A, and B, oh man, this might really raise some tail feathers here in a second, because I really want to attack, and I can't do it right now. I'll have to save some political capital for it. Let's see. Let's look at I bet you public services, let's do a healthy eating campaign to stem some
does that mean outlawing large-size sodas?
No. That was one of the dumbest things that New York ever tried to propose.
No, this is education.
Right. This is
helping people learn.
Right? Absolutely. And it's you have the choice still, but here's a little more information, and that's something that I played into when the whole election was going on. People were asking me my opinion, and it's one of the things that I got kind of angry with a few YouTubers about, because they would give people their opinion. And even though I am a small-time YouTuber, and even other small-time YouTubers, or even large YouTubers, giving their opinion is going to sway and be kind of a swing vote. So I withheld my personal opinion of what was going on, and the only advice I gave to anybody was go educate yourself. Go do your own research, come up with your own conclusion. And really, that's what this healthy eating campaign plays into. That whole long drawn out story for that is I want to show you the options you have out there. You make your decision once you think you've got enough information, is what this is all about. And it's relatively cheap. And it affects the national health overall. Now, so what I want to do from here is I want to move on to my next term, because I've got something I want to do that's going to take a huge amount of political capital to do, but I think it'll help in the long run personally. So I vote we move into second quarter, year 2. How's that?
Yep.
Fantastic. Setting up biased academic groups. Oh,
that's an oxymoron in today's world.
Yeah, there you go. Alrighty. Hey, you know what? Because we're paying down the national debt. We didn't spend a whole lot of money out of the surplus that we had in the budget, but it was enough to send the credit rating back up, which is going to positively affect GDP and the whole 9 yards in this whole thing. So
exactly, the money we do borrow, we have a lower interest rate, which means it doesn't cost us as much to pay it off. So it's BB, which isn't all that great, but it's still better than where we were.
Correct.
Nice increase. We went from 26 to 34%.
So we picked up 8% in the polls. So people are starting to come around to our way of thinking. Like I said, believe in Runt. Runt will believe in you. Let's see.
That was your campaign slogan.
Absolutely. That and Manley didn't agree about fighting ISIS. And then the first thing I do in my presidency is I lower the military budget. Anyhow, if you want to see that video, it was a live stream that I did on election night. It was the 8th, I think, the 8th of November. We did it kind of an impromptu thing. We found the game on Steam and said, hey, this looks like it would be fun. We did it, and, it kind of came out for the better because I ran as the Republican. So, let's see. Security briefing. Human Rights Society says it actively encourages members to oppose the current government. Okay, well, sorry. Health is going up. Crime is going down. That's fantastic. Unemployment still sucks. GDP, we're floating. Poverty seems to be going down a little bit, believe it or not, and education is kind of hanging out where it was. So let's go into quarter two. We've got plenty of political capital to do exactly what I was thinking of, and this is it's gonna tick people off something fierce. Alcohol tax. 1 quarter to implement. I don't want to make it huge, but this is along, not that I hate on alcohol. I drink alcohol, but as somebody that has had alcohol affect his family, I think that if you want to enjoy an alcoholic beverage, it should cost you enough that you have to think about the consequences of what you're going to do. So, with that said, I don't want it at 38%. That's ridiculous. I do want it, however, at about 30%. It's, that seems to me pretty good. It affects the poor enormously by 7%. Poverty actually goes up by 7%. Equality, people are don't feel so equal, but it puts a major hit on alcohol consumption, which is a major push to the alcoholism societal problem that we have. So, what do you think about that? It's really not popular. It's but
well, it's again, it's the capitalists say, hey, let the buyer beware. People should be able to buy whatever they want to buy, and that's not the government's business to keep them from buying my very profitable product.
Well, I'm not prohibiting anybody from buying anything. I'm just, the government is going to get their share.
More expensive to buy.
Yeah,
right? But basically it does two things. It, as you said, it will reduce consumption, because people can't afford it, and it will also fund some of the rehabilitation and re-education efforts. As you know, you can't ban alcohol. It won't be successful. The United States has already tried that, and it did not work. It created very high crime rates because of the bootlegging and everything that went with it. But by increasing the tax, you can drive some better behaviors.
Okay. Now, and because I'm adversely affecting the poor, I've got a couple other policies that I want to enact that's going to...
Well, yeah, that's what I was going to say. Maybe there's some things we can do to offset.
Absolutely. And I know one of the things that that people are going to be, ho-hum about, food stamps. They're already high. It only costs us 4 political capital to raise it to maximum, which actually kind of offsets by 2.5%, give or take, the poor, where we adversely affected them by 2%. It actually drives poverty back down just a hair by about 2%. Socialists are happy with it. Farmers are kind of happy with it, what I don't get. And it kind of offsets some of the damage we did with the alcohol tax on top of that. So the other thing that I want to do is in here.
Well, and what goes without saying is you've been very clear that you want everything to be efficient in government. And so, part of this is it'll be employed. You'll roll. It's not just wasting the money. You're going to roll it out in a very efficient manner.
Mm-hmm. Now, what I want to do, welfare fraud department. And this is one of those things. Okay, yeah, we raised welfare. People...
Oh, yeah, like I was saying, right. Yeah.
This checks and balances. The poor are really not going to like this. Conservatives and middle income are going to feel that the money that they're putting into the system is being taken care of better, the government is actually, responsible or trying to be responsible about the money that they're handing out to people through food stamps. However, I don't want huge amounts of stuff. So I don't want it to cost me a whole bunch of money. This is kind of a placating measure. It's really just out there, it goes into the community policing idea as well. If you see somebody out there abusing the system, then let somebody know about it. But we're not going to be actively pursuing people, which would be basically a futile effort, but we want to have, something in place to counteract that. Okay, we're giving you more money, but we're going to make sure that you deserve it first.
Well, and the other part where the fraud happens is in people that are the sellers, right? Mm-hmm. If a store can, on the sly, let someone use their food stamps, if you will, their card for unapproved items, or give them cash back, that's fraud as well.
Absolutely. Now, and this is playing right into the skills shortage. Immigration. If you look at our charts, as far as where is it? That's not it. Oh, I'm looking for it somewhere. Immigration. Let's see. Immigration. Immigration is right in the middle of the board. But because I want a more qualified workforce, I think that we need to relax, not necessarily immigration standards, but I think let's not make it to where you have to go through what they have currently here, biometric checks, which is a little insane. And I can't do it. I don't have enough political capital. Pooh. See, Obamacare 101. I
spend all your political capital.
I blew my load on.
Well, you're not talking about taking guards away from the border and letting people wander across. You're talking about making it less bureaucratic, easier for people to cross and be immigrant workers legally.
Absolutely, and like I said,
right.
Absolutely, 100%. But we don't have the political capital to enact that. So we're going into quarter 3 of year 2 with a reserve of political capital, which we get to hang on to, with a surplus. And let's see what happens to everything. Misinterpreting the Constitution. Oh, wow, that's just wrong. We're trying to keep that document safe and secure and, very, very good for us. So.
Oh, yeah. The Constitution can be changed. It's been changed lots of times in the past. There's a process to do it. Mm-hmm. But as it exists, it is a sacred document. Sacred is not the right word, but it's
a very protected document.
Exactly. Right.
Now, see, we have a new problem: stress epidemic. Doctors have warned that our businesses are working people too hard, which is leading to dangerously high levels of stress for people with full-time jobs. There are calls for limits on the hours that people work to be better enforced by the central government. Sorry, Snowflake. Wow, that just came out way wrong. But now we have positively affected enough stuff that antisocial behavior is now a red button off the board. Poverty is going up. Crime is no longer in the red, and our overall national health is going up. The GDP is doing okay. So we're doing okay. We have 42% of the vote now. So we've gone up by another 6%. So people are not
8%, yeah.
People are not, yeah, I'm sorry. We had 34 last time, didn't we?
Right, yeah.
Okay, yeah, wow.
That's fantastic. I mean, that's a huge jump.
Math. Funny thing is, when I was in college, I was actually a math tutor, and I just couldn't do simple mathematics there. But
you're the president. You got a lot of stuff on your mind.
Right. Now, ultimately, we want to have more than 50%. because, we want to win popular vote. We want to win the Electoral College going into the end of year 4, that kind of thing. So we're moving in the right direction. Our polls are going up. We're happy. Human Rights Society, they're still unhappy with us. But I think we have a plan. So let's get to it. Alrighty, now we have some political capital that we can work with. Now, again, what I wanted to do, and we'll get right into it, is border controls. And we've already kind of beat this up and said that I don't want biometric checks. I want to make it easy, not necessarily easier for illegal immigrants, but I want to make it easier. America is a melting pot. So let's bring that philosophy back into our administration and say, okay, as long as you have a valid passport, it's going to be checked. You're going to be let into the country unless you are, unless there's something up with it. So it's not really going to, make huge deals, but I want to bring it down a little bit, and it makes patriots a little less happy with us. No, actually, wow. Patriots are actually happier. No. Patriots are down by 1%. Liberals are a little happier with it by about 0.5%. Immigration actually improves by about 2.5%, 2.25%. Ethnic minorities actually like it, and it makes it easier for tourism, which is ultimately one of the driving forces of GDP. So let's go ahead and apply that one. Yes, I want to confirm using the political capital. And now we get into, let's see, did I enact the welfare? Yeah, I did. Let's see. I think that's about all I had on my agenda for year 2, unless I'm absolutely just missing the boat. So what I'm going to say is let's use this giant surplus that we have and pay down the debt some more and get it under 2 trillion or get it under 3 trillion. Wow, math.
Yeah, under 3 trillion. Yeah.
So let's get the national debt under 3 trillion. We have a massive surplus, and let's see, alcoholism is ticking down, so that's great. Vigilante mobs is done, so we've affected crime enough that, people don't feel like they have to put the bat signal on to do things. Let's see, homelessness, people are still, that's going up, which I'm not happy with. Pollution, we've lowered it, but not by a whole lot. We have an uncompetitive economy, but it's going down. So I'm okay. I'm cool with that. And we have a skills shortage. So hopefully all this will be taken care of. And obviously we still have a drug epidemic as well as asthma is an issue. But the small stuff that we've done to the environment is overall helping things. So, let's see. We've got one more quarter to go, and let's get right into it. Preparing sound bites. Okay, good. Vigilante mobs is at an end. Our GDP is on the rise. Because
for the first time, I think there's no red
on
the scoreboard there.
Now, if you look at it, education is still there. Everything else is in the yellow. We're still having things are improving, but I mean, and I think the first time when we kind of ran through this on a dry run, I was talking about the U.S. government in the game. If you liken it to, say, the Titanic running at the iceberg, if we're turning the ship, trying to miss the iceberg, but it takes a minute for it to turn. We're making some huge changes, but it looks like now that our credit rating has been upgraded, the GDP is on the rise. It looks we're still not out of the woods yet, but we're starting to look like we're going to miss the iceberg, and the Titanic will be able to sail on to live for another day. So let's go. Human Rights Society, they're still PO'd at me. But our cabinet is loyal with us, whole 9 yards. So we don't have any major issues. Let's take a look at what we got. We $247 billion. We're putting a huge dent into the national debt. Now, at this point, what I want to do is I want to let what we've got going on I want to continue this trend of writing it out. I want to save my political capital and go on into basically the end of year 2 without really doing anything. I'm going to let this run its course, and I want to see exactly where we end up. So we're not going to do anything. We don't want to make any knee-jerk reactions to what's going on. So let's see. That now we're coming into, if I'm not mistaken, the fourth quarter of year 2, and we've got 41% of the vote. So people are starting to think that I'm, I guess, kind of lackadaisical about doing things because I didn't do anything last quarter. But I wanted to check and see how our stability was running. So we're about 40% of the vote, give or take, at this point, 2 years in. Which is better than we started with, A, and B, we're fixing some problems. So, security experts.
Yeah, I think a new thing. Yeah, that's a new one.
Yeah, security experts are concerned that the green terror group known as the Warriors of Gaia are growing in ambition and capability, and are a threat to be taken very seriously. Okay, well, let's look at that real quick. See, the Warriors.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But its membership is very minimal. But again, I mean, that's just what our intelligence reports are telling us. So, it's a threat to be concerned about, but it's not so worrying to me at this point. We do have a policy question that we need to talk about, and it's a DNA database. It says police chiefs are requesting that they be allowed to build up a global database of everyone's DNA to assist them in fighting crime. DNA evidence allows many previously unsolved crimes to be tracked to the perpetrators, although there are privacy concerns. We can A, allow the database. This is likely to be an invaluable weapon in the fight against crime. For too long, criminals have been able to deny responsibility for their crimes, and with DNA evidence, we can substantially cut police time used to locate criminals such as murderers or rapists. Unless people have something to hide, they cannot possibly oppose such a measure. Or B, prevent the database. This is a fundamental breach of our citizens' human rights. We have to maintain an individual's presumption of innocence until proven guilty. And building up a Big Brother-style database of everyone makes us all feel like criminals. Are we really going to force our citizens to provide DNA samples to the state or face jail? And this goes directly into the Fifth Amendment.
Yep.
Absolutely, 100%. If this came across my desk as the president, I would say no. Veto, 100%. Absolutely not. Because that is one of the founding principles of America, is that we are innocent until proven guilty. Now, that doesn't say anything, and I know exactly where you're going to go with this because we've talked about it before, that it's playing into the once you're busted for a crime, absolutely. But until, I mean, we're not going to take a DNA sample immediately when a baby is born. We're not going to, have everybody line up in a queue to have their DNA taken and put into a database. That way, if they, jaywalk or something like that. But I think for heinous crimes, that would be a completely different, purpose. But for just to basically have everybody line up as sheeple to get their DNA taken to make this database for NCIC is completely unconstitutional. So, your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the analogy would be fingerprints. Citizens are not required to provide fingerprints at birth or at any time other than, when if they're arrested, they're fingerprinted, they're then in the system. Sure, there's a lot of arguments to say if I was not charged or not proven guilty, should my fingerprints then stay in the system because I was never convicted? And I've got some heartburn around that. But again, it's not everybody.
Right.
And yeah, that definitely, because again, the potential for abuse, especially with DNA.
Mm-hmm.
We're a great government, we're a great administration, we're not going to do anything bad, but just imagine if in the future somebody says, "Oh, well, we found a gene that shows a 90% chance that this person is going to be, have very expensive health care in the future." Government might want to look through their database and make some decisions. So,
right. So,
definitely not.
Okay. So we are going to prevent that database go into the fourth quarter of, no, that was the fourth quarter. I'm sorry. That's gonna be it for this episode, guys. Stick around for year 3 of the Runt presidency on next Friday. So until then, guys, we made a mistake. We'll see you next time. Bye now.